The harmattan dust, fine as milled flour, coated everything in the village of Umuana, clinging to the thatched roofs and blurring the edges of the setting sun. For Adama, the dust felt like a shroud, mirroring the suffocation tightening around her heart. At 22, with dreams of becoming a teacher shimmering just beyond her grasp, her world was about to shrink to the size of one man's compound. A man she barely knew. Her father, Papa Obi, lay on his mat, his breathing shallow, the village healer having shaken his head with grim finality days before. The farm had yielded poorly for 2 seasons, debts mounted like the nearby termite hills, and Papa Obi's illness was the final, crushing blow. It was then that Elder Ezeudu, a man whose pronouncements carried the weight of tradition, had come with a proposal. His distant nephew, Chike, sought a wife. He was known to be a quiet, steady man, recently returned to the village after years away, doing what, no one seemed quite sure, but he kept to himself, tilled a small patch of land inherited from his grandmother, and spoke little. He is not young, perhaps nearing 40, Elder Ezeudu had considered, stroking his grey beard. But he is responsible. He asked for little dowry, understanding your situation, Adama's mother. He will care for her, and, he added, his voice dropping slightly, he has offered to settle Papa Obi's pressing debts and see to his comforts. The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. It wasn't a request, it was a lifeline thrown to a drowning family, conditional on Adama's acceptance. Her mother, Mama Ada, had wept, caught between her daughter's silent despair and the stark reality of their poverty. Adama, my child, she had pleaded, her eyes red-rimmed, it is a great sacrifice. But Chike is respectable. He does not drink or gamble. He is quiet. Perhaps peace lies in quietness. Adama felt anything but peace. She had seen Chike only a handful of times, a tall, lean man with watchful eyes and calloused hands, dressed always in simple wrappers or worn shirts. He seemed unremarkable, almost invisible. He wasn't cruel looking, but there was an unnerving stillness about him, a reserve that felt like a locked door. Eyeing him felt like stepping into a void. Her dreams of books and classrooms dissolved like mist. The marriage ceremony was muted, overshadowed by Papa Obi's condition. Adama moved through it numbly, her face set. Chike was polite, his voice soft when he spoke the vows, his hand surprisingly gentle when he took hers. He paid the agreed sums without fanfare, ensuring her father received better herbs and care immediately. Yet, Adama felt no gratitude, only a cold resentment. Life in Chike's compound was perplexing. It was larger than her family home, clean and well-maintained, but surprisingly sparse. There were no signs of wealth, just basic furniture, sturdy cooking pots, and neat stacks of firewood. Chike worked his small farm diligently, returning each evening covered in red earth. He ate simple meals, spoke only when necessary, and spent long hours reading by the dim light of a single kerosene lamp. Surprisingly, he owned many books, tucked away on a shelf, their subjects ranging from agriculture to philosophy. Adama performed her duties as a wife mechanically. She cooked, cleaned, and tended the small kitchen garden. Chike never demanded anything, never raised his voice. He treated her with a quiet courtesy that was almost more infuriating than anger would have been. It gave her nothing to fight against. Sometimes, she would catch him watching her, his expression unreadable, before he would turn back to his book or his work. Weeks turned into months. Papa Obi, tended by a healer Chike had brought from a distant town at considerable expense, a fact Adama noted with confusion. Where did the money for that come from? Began to slowly regain some strength. Adama started noticing inconsistencies. The simple wrapper Chike wore. On closer inspection, the fabric was of an exceptionally fine weave, better than anything sold in the village markets. They wore leather sandals. They were impeccably crafted, showing quality despite their age. Once a trader haggling fiercely over the price of yams backed down instantly when Chike quietly named his final offer, murmuring apologies. It was odd. The first major crack in the facade appeared during the New Yam festival. Chike, as usual, planned to participate modestly. But then, a sleek, black car, utterly alien in Umuana, rolled silently into the village, stopping before their compound. A man in a sharp city suit emerged, bowing respectfully, almost deferentially, to Chike. "Oga Chike," he began, handing over a thick envelope, "the quarterly reports you requested. Everything is proceeding smoothly in Lagos." Chike took the envelope with a quiet nod, dismissing the man with a few soft words in a language Adama didn't recognize, Yoruba, perhaps. The man bowed again and drove off, leaving a cloud of dust and bewildered whispers in his wake. Adama stared, first at the departing car, then at Chike, who was calmly inspecting a yam. "Who was that?" she asked, her voice tight. "A business associate," Chike replied simply, not meeting her eyes. "Business? What business?" "In Lagos. Farming requires planning, Adama. One must understand the markets." His answer was vague, deflecting. That nod at Adama. This quiet, unassuming farmer had associates in Lagos driving expensive cars. He spoke of markets like an economist, not a subsistence farmer. He procured expensive hellers. He wore simple clothes of impossible quality. The real revelation came unexpectedly. Papa Obi suffered a relapse, worse than before. The local healer was powerless. Despairingly, Adama turned to Chike. "He needs help," she choked out, tears finally breaking through her reserve. "Real help? A hospital, in the city maybe?" Chike looked at her, then at her father's frail form. His usual calm seemed deeper, more focused. "Yes," he said quietly. "He does. Pack a small bag for yourself and your mother. We will take him to Port Harcourt." Now, the journey itself was a revelation. Not on cramped public transport, but in another surprisingly well-maintained, though not flashy, vehicle Chike apparently kept stored nearby. He drove with quiet competence. In Port Harcourt, he didn't take them to the crowded General Hospital, but to a private clinic, sleek and modern. He spoke calmly with doctors, referencing medical terms Adama had never heard. He paid the substantial deposit without blinking, arranging a private room for her father. While Mama Ada stayed by Papa Obi's bedside, Chike took Adama to where they would be staying. It wasn't a modest guest house. He drove them to a sprawling, beautifully furnished house in a quiet, wealthy neighborhood, complete with staff who greeted him as chairman. Adama stood frozen in the opulent living room, staring at the polished floors, the tasteful art, the sheer scale of it all. This wasn't the house of a simple farmer. This was the house of a very, very wealthy man. "Chike, what is this?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "Who are you?" He finally turned to face her fully, his usual reserve replaced with a hint of weariness, perhaps even vulnerability. "I am Chike," he said softly. "The man you marry. The man who founds his grandmother's land in Umuana because it grounds me. And yes, the man who owns several businesses, logistics, some real estate, mostly in Lagos and here. But, why live like that in the village? Why let me believe?" Hunger, confusion, and a strange sense of betrayal worried within her. "Adama," he said, stepping closer. His eyes, usually so guarded, held a deep sincerity. "My father built his wealth from nothing. It brought him complications. People changed around him. My first betrothal, years ago, ended badly when her family realized the extent of my inheritance. They became demanding, greedy. It tainted everything." He sighed. "When my uncle proposed this marriage, knowing your family's honor despite your hardship, I saw a chance. A chance for something real. I wanted a wife who would be my partner, who valued the man, not the naira signs. Umuana is my home, my anchor. I didn't want my other life to interfere with that. I wanted to see if you..." He hesitated. "If we could build something genuine, away from all that noise." Adama stared at him, speechless. The quiet farmer, the reader of philosophy, the man who patiently endured her coldness, the man who paid her father's debts, brought expensive healers, and now, provided the best medical care without a second thought. It wasn't deception out of malice, but a shield built from past hurts, a test born of a desire for authenticity. She thought of his quiet kindness, his unexpected knowledge, the quality hidden beneath the simple exterior. Had she been so blinded by her lost dreams and his unremarkable appearance that she hadn't seen the man? "You watched me," she said, realization dawning. "All this time, you watched me struggle, resent you. I watched you care for your father," he corrected gently. "I saw your strength, even in your unhappiness. I saw you manage my home with diligence, even when you felt trapped. I hoped, Adama, I hoped you might eventually see past the arranged circumstances, past the quiet farmer." Tears welled in her eyes, but this time they weren't tears of despair or anger. They were tears of overwhelming confusion, relief, and a dawning, unexpected tenderness. Her life had been upended twice, once by a forced marriage to a poor farmer, and now by the revelation that he was anything but. "My father," she stammered. "He is getting the best care," Chike assured her. "That is what matters." Adama looked around the luxurious room, then back at Chike, this complex, quiet man who held fortunes but chose simplicity, who sought genuineness in a world often dazzled by wealth. The path ahead was uncertain. Their marriage, begun under duress and shrouded in secrecy, would need to be rebuilt on this new, startling foundation. But for the first time since Elder Ezeudu's proposal, the suffocating dust seemed to settle, and Adama saw not a void, but a possibility, an intriguing, challenging, and perhaps unexpectedly rich future with the man she was forced to marry. The quiet farmer was gone, replaced by Chike, the chairman, her husband. And strangely, the thought wasn't entirely unwelcome.